Hello, everybody. It's James from Bone Discovering, dedicated to original peoples, as always. And we've got a bunch of special guests on. Today, we're dealing with ancient prophecies, so this is going to go like different ideas we're going to be sharing, whether it's from indigenous perspectives, whether it's from religious perspectives, or even cycles, cosmological perspectives, anything and that. But let me bring on some of the guests anyway. First of all, Raz Congo, welcome back to the show, my brother.
Give thanks. A pleasure to be here with you, James, and all the brethren. And I'm looking forward to filling up my cup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Edison from Ancestral Essence.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And I'm very glad you asked me along. When you told me the subject, I just really wanted to come and listen, to be fair. I was being nosy.
And you can
And see
contribute
what
anyway.
prophecies people have got.
Hello, Graham, Wallace Selassie. Welcome
Yes,
back, my
man.
brother.
Good to be back, James, man. Long time we haven't done this, so
Exactly, man.
I'll
Great
be looking
anyway.
forward to it, man.
Bless. And Chase Johnson Lynch, Big Condo Radio, originally now Liverpool Online. Big up, my brother. How you doing?
All right, bro. It's been a while and everything, but thank you, my discovering brother.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. But it's good to link back up anyway. And yeah, today, so just thought get everyone together and see where people thought processes on this one. So if we start with you, Raj, yeah, on
Yes, sir.
when we speak on ancient prophecies, or could be prophecies, because sometimes when we say ancient, some people might think,
Yeah.
oh, this has to be thousands and thousands, or it could be beginning of time. Prophecies could even be 1 year ago, like predictions and stuff. So what would your take on this be, and where would you start?
Well, my take on prophecy is, I mean, some people may look at it as, predicting the future. And it is predicting the future and observing the past and looking at the present.
Yeah.
But like we said earlier on before we started recording, it's like if you're aware of the cycles of nature, cosmological cycles and things, right? Then you will be able to, like the procession of the equinoxes and things like that. You will be able to see or have that knowledge of things that will come to pass in a particular time, in an epoch of time, right? And obviously, there's a religious context to it, spiritual context to it, and it's wide and far. And we just welcome all the contributions here because I'm just looking forward to sharing, exchanging, and growing. Because the only way we can grow is when we share and we listen to each other, and we communicate. And it's a blessed thing, man, to be here. So, yeah, prophecy is a powerful thing, no matter which way how you look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
man.
the way how I see prophecy is like just looking at the identification, the refinement of the truth, understanding, overstanding the truth, and becoming a living prayer card. We can talk about prayers, but for me, it's like the mission is to become a living prayer. Everything that you do, you know what I mean, or most things that you do, because none of us are perfect, but most things that we do, we become that light, that shining light. And like when you look at the world, and we're looking for that change, we don't necessarily have to wait on a next man or a next person. We can bring that change ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So we have to learn to have that confidence of self, like Edison, like Wilder, like Chase, and like you've said. It's all about the identity, rediscovering the true identity, because we have had our senses blunted. Yeah, we're operating on a fraction, and lots of things have been buried from us. Even the truth, our inner self, the kingdom within, has been buried. Like they say, if you want to hide something, you hide it in front of someone's nose. We are the living embodiment of the truth. We just have to reach out and reach within and overstand. You know what I mean? It's like a combination on a safe. We need the right combination to access the truth. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, man. Nice.
That's up. I'm going to start off with that. That's
yeah, man. We're going round anyway. Errol, many times we've had
Yes, man.
interesting discussions in the past, and we've spoke on a lot of things like looking at today's youth, for example. Because it's all about the newer generations that are coming up and that, and a lack of spirituality. We've touched on this before, and as far as tying this in with prophecies, is these things, would you say like these were all predicted many years ago?
Well, you know what? The cycle of life, as Ras Congo said, because if you look on it like that, our parents and our grandparents would look at us as young people and say, "What am I going with them wild, them this and them that, and them out of hand?"
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Look how we are looking at the generations now that
Yeah.
we're in their position.
Yes.
So is it prophecy or is it just a cycle?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a state of mind. But to talk about prophecy in terms of what is a prophet, because even from I have to come from a Judo-Christian perspective.
Yeah.
From there's two type of prophets. One is a prophet and one is a seer, and they're slightly different. A prophet is one who's supposed to hear and receive divine inspiration.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so then he speaks what he hears. Okay, and he'll never speak unless he hears. A seer is reliant on what he sees. So
would it be like kind of like the seer? Let's say the seer, see a person able to kind of see into read a situation type of thing.
You could say that, yeah, because a seer would have to have discernment.
Okay.
In order to read a situation, you have to be able to discern what's happening.
Okay.
It's like I heard a thing today describing a witness and a bystander. You know, and the difference to a witness is someone who was there from the beginning, seen everything, heard everything, and experienced everything. A bystander may come along even 20 seconds later. He's not as observant of this as the person who's going to be the witness. You know, I mean, that's how the person kind of was describing it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it as well, but I could see there was a clear difference.
Yes.
You know? So in terms of a seer would be someone who sees things and then speaks what he sees, you know, or she sees. So just like you say now, we're looking at the society that we live in and we see many things, we hear many things. And this relates back to the argument we were talking about or the discussion about the noise.
Yeah.
Are we discerning what we're hearing and what we're seeing in the right way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
true,
where it
man.
comes down to, because many people will claim to be a prophet, a seer. You know, the two penny in America, as you know, doing multiple TV appearances and stuff like that. But I don't think that's what we're talking about. We want to go on obviously a deeper level to understand what is a prophet, what is a seer. And usually a prophet would speak, but it's not. People always think it's about, okay, you can see the future, so he's gonna say A, B, C, or D. A prophet is usually a very humble man and didn't even want to be in that position of being a prophet, because in order to get that gift, the theology teaches that you have to have serious humility. It can't be puffed up with pride.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So basically, a prophet would hear something and sometimes give a warning in order for the people to change or repent, as they would say. You know, so it's not always a command of the prophetic word has came out and it's going to be disaster.
Yes.
There's always
Of course. I hear that, bro.
you know, similar to like the story of Jonah who went to Nineveh.
Yes.
You know, the warning was given, but the people changed their ways. You know what I mean? So it's not always doom and gloom, because I think a lot of prophecies, what people talk about, it's always about doom and gloom, and everyone wants to be the first to give you that doom and gloom. Oh, it's the end of the world. It's the Armageddon.
Yeah. True.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? I'm looking at some indigenous prophecies, and most of them relate, but they all got slight differences. One of them was interesting, where there was prophecy put out, but they also said that depending on how you choose to live your life, will depend on the outcome as well. So that kind of comes down to people's individuality as well. Your own hell, you're living in your own heaven, you're living in. So it's kind of like you as an individual. If it's life is what you make it. And I don't mean in the way of like becoming rich or something like that. I just mean like you choose your path, whether you want to go that route or this route, and those routes are only going to lead to certain directions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's like just the last point. It's almost saying that we all have that little gift of prophecy and seer because we have to function in a world of noise, distraction, and got to be able to discern in what we're hearing and what we're seeing, and then interpret that, and then try and move forward in life.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, man. Well, all right. Interesting.
That's a very good explanation,
Definitely.
Expression. Bless King.
Edison. So coming on, I told you about this topic now, prophecies. You know, you can look at it from different perspectives, whether it's psychic abilities, whether it's ancient traditions, cosmological, whatever you want to go with it.
And Raz, they sort of put me in a place, and I had to think of myself and say, you know, there's a thing called there's world prophecy, and then where we come from, our own village and our community prophecy. Okay. And for some reason, we struggle because we're trying to control a world prophecy when we don't know the story and the real history. Chase was talking about it before. So all these things that happened now they open up the museums in Russia. Yes. Now they're bringing all this information. This is what happened. But we didn't know. It wasn't something which someone could have told a prophecy there and totally excluded us from it, from that whole conversation. And then we're making prophecies based on the version of the story that we've got or the version of someone told us. That's because we're in a society now where we don't control the story. But then whereas Errol was talking about the gift, you would have a situation, and Raz and James, you would all know about drumming. And how you'd be in a village, someone would drum, and then someone would get mounted, someone would come, and they would bring all the wisdom from the other side. Yes. And they would talk to the people and tell them about things that are happening gonna happen in their life, happen in their story, if they take a certain route, because this is what you're saying. Raz, if you got a choice, your life can go. I know, James, you're saying if you got a choice, your life will go this way, but they're saying try and avoid that if you want to avoid this. So the whole basis of the whole divination system is to say that everything is already known. And what these guys do is tap into that story, bring you what is your portion, what is due for you, and then ask you have the option, the left or the right. Which one do you want to take? Because both realities exist. If you stay in your house,
pathways.
Pathways. Yeah. And if you leave, things are going to happen. So even in quantum physics and all that kind of thing, it always speaks of more than one option and superposition waiting for you to choose. So we're in a reality where our prophecy is stuck because we're trying to fix a world we don't control. But if we went back to our village and our communities and said, okay, in our community, this is so far, so big, and we can see because we can speak to those that can see what is going to happen. We live, it's almost, I always give the example of a marathon. If you're in a helicopter, you can see the whole race in 20 seconds. If you're on the floor, it could take you 6 hours to see that distance. So therefore, there's that knowledge, that higher understanding, those people above in our heads that can give us prophecy or tell us of what's going to happen because they can see the whole race already because of the height that they're looking at it from. But we
higher heights.
We're just on the ground and we're bumping into every single obstacle as it takes place. So for me, it's always been what you said about gift, where it's a case of, look, whenever you're looking at someone or something, you can see more than just a picture in your mind. You can pick up how they're feeling. You can pick up their story. if someone is psychic, all they can do is just read more information about the data of who you are than a next person and be able to articulate it. Someone's going to call them psychic, someone that's going to call them a gift, but what they mainly do is have patience to think about what they're seeing so that they can see more than just reacting.
Yeah.
So so the prophecy, I feel we're lost because we're watching all these cosmology and this and that, and not to say that that stuff isn't real,
Yeah.
but it's not your experience of
Mm.
of your village, of your space, or what have you. You only cared about the village you was in. You was able
Mm.
to control that because, like we said, you have a relationship with everything in there, with the land, with the water, with the air. You have a relationship with it. But as soon as you come out of the bubble and come out into this manufactured world story that we're in, then you can't prophesize what someone is designing. You're
Mm.
prophesizing, hoping for the truth, and they're teaching children how to think in a certain way to ensure that what they think is the way that the children then predict what the world will be based on the information, all the information they've got to predict with.
Mm.
So we're
Interesting.
very
Yeah.
stuck there. Everything is based on your prediction,
Yeah.
what happens, and
Mm.
what is the mismatch. And the
Interesting.
problem is
Yeah.
we don't have enough information to predict well. So we're totally reliant on other people. And then we're trying to scramble up backwards because we don't know the whole truth. So what Jace is doing with all of that stuff, imagine if you was a kid and you knew the story about England, America, all, and when someone's trying to
Mm.
tell you that, you know what, you haven't done anything. It said, no, I've done all of this. So it's,
Mm.
oh, sorry, okay, let me look for someone else. It'd be like religion. They're looking for the next person to convert because this one actually knows what they're talking about. So it's our prophecies are built on bad information
Mm.
because we're not given the whole story. If we had everything, we would make better predictions of what's to come and we would have more control of what's to come. But right now, we're late
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
our own party
Of
because we
course.
don't know what's going on. We're just finding out now that
Mm.
everything's been a big, wonderful lie. And we can only prophesize them staying in charge because we don't know any other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When that
Well,
situation changes, we're going to come out with different prophecies. And you'll say, whoa, was that there all along? Yes. Because the
yeah.
person that knew
Well, we're
didn't
going to
make
continue. We're going to
it.
continue, Eddie. But that's interesting points that, which brings me to Chase now. Being born in America, Chase. Yeah. What's interesting is, we've all had influences from America from young in different ways, from different eras. I always looked at, like, for example, you've got your Nation of Islam out there, you've got your Hebrew Israelites out there, your Moorish science temples out there, you got religion out there, you got a lot of things. Some people might, like, I've spoken to you many times where there's a lot of things you were saying you wasn't aware of, obviously growing up. Just being black, we were told that we had nothing from Africa. And so, from your perspective, I'm interested in your perspective because, like, with most of us, we have like African. Well, I've got Nigerian roots. I know Raz, you got Nigerian.
Yeah, yeah.
Edison,
Yeah,
Nigerian.
same
So it's kind of
Nigerian.
like we get a story from orderly passed down to a degree, even though we're born here. Um, Obviously, Errol, obviously born in Jamaica. He done some ancestry roots tracing. I think he Igbo tribe. So
Mm.
that's the first investigation, and then for yourself, Chase, on this topic, prophecies. How would you take part in this discussion and even base it from where you're from as well?
Well, I mean, basically, I mean, like, in listening to the brothers and stuff and trying to think about contribution and thinking about what I was talking about earlier about the knowledge that I've been learning. I think that like prophecies, this thing is about that we are a society that is asleep. Yeah. And we're comfortable in that sleep, I mean, like as kids, we were all indoctrinated, by force to go to school and to learn whatever it is that was told to us, and to learn that as the gospel, whether it was religion, whether it was, you know, um, the way the world works and all of that other kind of stuff. And but you grow up thinking that's all there is. And when prophets came along, in their experience, they've always seemed separate, but a part of. They were like regular people at one point who supposedly had an awakening moment. And the way I could kind of like look at that, it's kind of like the way movies look at it. Like if you remember the old movie series with George Burns, he would find a normal person like, John Denver, who was a grocery bag stuffer in a supermarket, and he would give him a vision of God and let him know that I need you to pass the word along that God lives or God loves. And he's like, I'm just a normal guy. Why should anybody listen to me? And he spend the whole time awakening different people. Now, this would be a moment in people's time and lives, so it wouldn't last, but it would be like, oh, that was a revelation. And that's how prophecies were. When the other prophets that are in whether they were in the Bible, whether they were in scripture, Islam, and all that other kind of stuff, Muhammad, it was always about those moments when they kind of like impress people in that moment.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I'll bring you back in straight away. The awakening part, what you just said, I think that's very interesting. That because even like, for example, people might speak on Malcolm X, for example, or like at first he was living on, he wasn't too aware, even though he was into Marcus Garvey, but I'm talking about like the change that Malcolm X made from being like a criminal and living on the other side of things. So that there is an awakening of Malcolm X, for example. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah, but he had two awakenings.
True. Yeah.
One was when his first awakening, like in prison, when he joined the Nation of Islam. But like, the second awakening was when he actually went to Mecca. And now notice the difference. Because what he learned in the second awakening was, wait a minute, I don't need to hate everybody or people that are different from me. Why am I doing that? I mean, they if I just stop to listen, they also believe in what I believe. We all believe in, the one thing to believe in. So it's kind of like you have to realize that what I'm trying to say is that these moments occur, and they occur by people awakening to what is real and not what is forced upon them to be indoctrinated and believe. And that's why I feel like this new thing now with the internet, AI is bringing a certain amount of truth that is fabricated because it's made in AI, but it's the truth because what is the story that they're telling us? They're telling us the Africans are more powerful than we would learn to believe. We were indoctrinated to believe. They're telling you to believe in yourself. Not even to believe just in the higher power, but believe in yourself. And that's what the journey is that people will tend to go upon, is that show me that I'm not alone, that this inner strength that you tell me I have is an inner strength that other people had demonstrated, but I never got to see. Can you imagine that? Do you know what I mean? And those are what prophets have done. When you talk about, I mean, it doesn't have to be like the ones who see things or have done miracles. It's just people. I mean, I think like there was a great series called, I think, The Chosen, where they follow Jesus and his apostles and stuff like that. And the only thing I hate about it is because I'm now believing in the black Christ and not in the white Christ. But like the thing about it is that the story itself is great. It's beautiful. The ideas of what they're actually talking about, and he just went to one village at a time, one person at a time, and just asked them to show some faith for them to get this power and to be awakened. And that and all they had to do was to believe. You know what I mean? A simple thing. Wake up. You know, you are not supposed to be where you are, but if you can believe that you're not supposed to be where you are, then you'll be different.
Okay, we're gonna come back round anyway, but
I
interesting. No,
just think that was a beautiful thing about
interesting point, man.
That, you know.
Interesting point, man. Yeah, I'm gonna come to you, Raz, now. Now, here's another interesting thing what I want to add on to that. How this universe operates, or people can look at it as it's divine, or whatever way you want to view it. Say, for example, being in the right place at the right time, and meeting certain people in your life. You know, there's certain things that like don't seem accidental in life. You know, I don't believe in just coincidences. You know what I'm saying?
There are no accidents.
That's what I want to come to you, Raz, on this.
And even that word coincidence, like we've been taught to think, oh, it's a random thing.
Yes.
But what it's saying is that all incidents are connected as part of the divine sphere, you know?
Yeah.
And it's about how we can tap into that, because those who can tap into that, like Errol was saying, Wilder was saying, right, become seers, right? When you're able to see, and some of the greatest seers could be physically blind. You understand? So it goes beyond seeing with your eyes. It's seeing with the vibrations, feeling the vibrations. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I just look upon it, right, on a deep level, right, that we are the micro of a macro, and we are gods and goddesses of the divine creator. You know, I don't say that as a blasphemy, you know. I'm saying that as we are divine because we were created from the divine.
Yeah,
from the same bloodline, and the bloodline is divine.
Yeah.
Like for me, for I and I, we recognized the divinity of I and I self through the divinity of Haile Selassie as an African king. Because like we were saying earlier on, you know, we're talking about when we were young growing up, they said, oh, Tarzan in the jungle, slavery, they hid things away from us. I was fortunate, right? I was fortunate because my grandfather was a conscious man. My grandfather was a conscious man, and he had a lot of books. He had like J.A. Rogers, God's Gift to America, Sex and Race, Volume 1, 2, and 3. And he read that with us when we were young. Yeah. Not every part, but he used to go through a little bit with us and give us little snippets, showing us Queen Charlotte. Yeah. King George III showed us that a lot of the things that are hidden from you, this is a beginning. And we were like 4, 5, 6. So it gave us that ability or that yearning, the thirst to seek for knowledge, you know what I mean? And digest the knowledge and share the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And our life journey has been that. Our life journey has been about seeking knowledge to become better people, to become greater people, you know what I mean? Because the greatest thing is to know. You know what I'm saying? That's the greatest thing. And when we don't know, then we become enslaved to ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just feel it's about a beautiful thing in order to understand the reservoir. Because we look at the universe, we can look at it as a reservoir of truths and rights. You know what I'm saying? And multi-dimensional, yeah. And it operates on so many levels because you know we can mystify as human beings, as men, we can marvel at the greatness of this whole universe. But even if you look at your feet and you see the organization of the ants, you know, if I and I had the unity of the ants, it would be a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're surrounded by these things, like Edison was saying. The air is alive. The water is alive. Yeah. Mother Earth is alive. We eat from the womb. We come from the. Listen, man. It's no coincidence, right? In that term, you know, I said already, coincidence is a fallacy, how they define it, right? But they said we are of the earth. We were born of the earth through a divine power. The earth was born from the same power. Yeah. And it's about the food. Look at so much things that is in the earth, natural resources. And if you cultivate the earth, treat the earth right, cultivate right, don't kill the soil, cultivate it and be in harmony, then you have a provision And it's the same for everything. We can cultivate knowledge, you know what I'm saying? We can ingratiate ourselves to the knowledge and marry ourselves to that knowledge, the truth, to the divine one, the creator, the most high. You know what I'm saying? And it's our action, our liberty becomes an echo of that. It becomes an echo. And even we can't die because we come from somewhere and we have to go somewhere. Yeah. Mother Earth is just a waiting room for more divine worlds or higher worlds. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm seeing it, bro. And the conversation that we're having is just enriching to the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Errol, I'm coming to you now.
Yeah, man. I just want to recap on what a few people have said so far. Like Edison was talking about where we get lost, where we concentrate on the wrong things. We're trying to figure out world prophecy, and the new word for prophecy now is conspiracy theory. And so much of our people are into conspiracy theories. It's just gone wild, absolutely wild. And so, to them, it's almost like a new word for prophecy, and that's where their whole focus is on. Things that we can't directly fix. You know, so you have to start at the base. What Edison says, at the base where you are, in your village, in your town, in your city. In your local community, where you are, that's where you need to begin to try and see what's happening in the world and how you can fix what you've got to make your life a little bit more comfortable and people around you and to move forward, but we're concentrating on things higher than we can really reach at that point. And if you fix at them little levels, all them collectives coming together, then can maybe reach to the top.
Man.
Well, the interesting one, Errol.
Just one more point.
I was going to mention something about the Zulus in their prophecies. I just jotted it down before. A foreign arrival, conflict, renewal of the people. I just jotted that down before. So that's an interesting.
That kind of fits into what I think Chase was his observance was that, these moments have been an awakening.
Yeah.
And when that awakening comes, you've got to either be, because many people get that awakening and then ignore it, and then just say, "Oh, I can't be bothered" or whatever, So it's like Chase said, he was watching a program with Christ going around with his disciples, and it just reminds me of a story in terms of when when this awakening comes. And when this redemption or whatever salvation comes, to you as an individual, to open your mind and awaken to what is real and not what is, like you say, forced on you or a false reality. There's a story in the Bible where a man was at the temple by a pool for 38 years, paralyzed. And now why he's waiting there is because there's an angel that comes and stirs the water every year. The first one into the water is healed miraculously, as the story has it. So Jesus goes up to this man and asks him, "Do you want to be healed?" And it seems like a strange question to ask a man who's been waiting there for 38 years for just that healing. But the man doesn't immediately say yes. He starts to moan and complain about his situation. Well, there's no one to pick me up and put me in, and if I'm always last, and there's always this and that, and so in the end, Christ heals him anyway. But you've got to want it.
That's right, bro.
He always asks people, "Do you want to be healed? Do you believe?" From what Chase was saying, the story is beautiful in that sense that you've got to want to embrace it as well. Do you know what I mean? It's being offered to you. But yet still, some people don't, you could say ungrateful in a way, because the end of that story is that that same man who was healed was one of Christ's. He was a
Crucify.
witness that helped to crucify him because he healed him on the Sabbath day. So he was really ungrateful.
Interesting, man.
But you've got to want it, man.
Yeah. So
This kind of say,
this kind of like what sort of Edison saying before, where about we was talking about the noise before. I'll make mention about distractions and all that. Like we can't really focus sometimes. So I think sometimes, like you said, he was saying about awakening. That's why sometimes people go away and they forget. It's kind of almost forgetting, isn't it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
easily distracted. You see, or when pressure or harassment comes because you've now changed your focus.
Yeah.
If you're not solidly, rooted in.
Yeah.
Well, they pluck you out, you know what I mean, and you fall at the wayside, and you see what it is with a lot of people. They only listen to what other people say and don't do the research themselves to be grounded, to know enough to relinquish, to give an argument or stand in the space. You know what I mean? So a lot of people kind of just run off what Ras Congo saying.
It's like the song in it. It's like the song in it. Me, what's it? Me show me Canada, but me no call.
No fault. Yeah.
You want to pick it up at your business? Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
You know what I mean?
So someone just not doing their own research to ground themselves.
So man. So let me.
Like I said, you got to want it, man.
Yeah, man. Of course. So we'll come back to that anyway. Edison, I want to bring you in now. What I want to start with you as well, because I'm looking at your past teachings as well. You spoke a lot about vibrations, energy. I mean, we can go deep into vibrations. I mean, we talked about the drums last time. These speak in it. So if a language, because I look at like, there's language, what comes out of our mouths, you know what I mean? But then the vibration seems like it's the oldest language. A vibrational language, whether it's through instruments, whether it's through different sounds. So with vibrational, see, like we tie this into prophecy or prophets or anything like that. You must be aware of certain traditions, especially in Nigeria or whatever, of picking up vibrations, of to know dangers coming, or to know even like the calling of something, war drums, it's almost psychic ability, but sometimes the vibration speaks.
It's all vibrations, because literally to hear is for your mind to capture vibrations and then convert it into a sound. Your mouth, because you're picking up the vibrations. No one ever hears noise. They pick up vibrations. It goes into the drum of their ear, because that's
right.
The original drum is your eardrum. Then converts as a sound that passes through different things, cochlears, bones, what have you, and then sent as an auditory signal up until your auditory cortex, and there is converted into a sound. A simulated sound is created in your head. So your head never really, there's one area that collates all the fragments of sound and another one that smooths it into a sentence so that you can actually hear what it is. That's what's going on in your head. But to go on further, because initially when you were speaking about the universe, two things. First thing is, I'm so grateful I came from the African place that I did, the village that I came from, because I was never ever, even growing up in England, I was never marveled by Western technology, because I was always caught up in the technology of the village that I had, and how these guys could make it rain. They could do all different kind of things that, because of their connection to the earth, they were able to speak to all of the earth and all the wisdom and the knowledge that it had. So I was always marveled by that and realized that there was more to humans than there was just they strip you of everything you are and then tell you this is what you need to be. And if you're not this, you're not intelligent. If you can't recall and retain their information, you're not intelligent. So there's one thing. So I never ever saw anything they saw here as what it was. I always
true, man.
Yeah. But another thing on the concept of awakening, yeah, we found that, or in my opinion, the awakening is of the invisible version of you, the real you, the one that doesn't have a name, the one that understands things, the one that hears things, but has to process it through the story of you. The story of you is the one that has a name, that has a color, that has a gender, that has a place, that has all of that. And all of these become lenses by how you look at the world and look at yourself. But when you're conversing within yourself, there's a deeper layer inside you. This thing that actually is the spiritual one that goes to this place. And that's the one that's forcing you to look for information of the world. That's the one that's trying to awaken you to say, there's more than this. I'm more than this story that everyone told me I am. I'm not going to sit here and accept this is my name, this is my culture, this is my thing. There's something inside me that wants to come out and speak. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have an identity, but it's me. It's the real me. And that's the thing that is awakening. And that's the thing that is looking for all the stories around the world to try and find out who it is so it can have an identity beyond the story that has been told of who it is. Because anyone asks you who you are, you can give your name. You can give the country that they've named for you. See, I'm never proud of when someone says, are you Nigerian? I said, I'm not proud of that. Some lady drinking tea named that. What English lady? Oh, yeah, let's call it Nigeria. How am I proud of that? Yeah, I'll be proud of the village or wherever I came because those people named that. They listened to the land and gave the place the name of what the land told them. So this is what I would be proud of. So the awakening has always, for me, everyone can say it's a story, it's this place, it's that place, it's whatever. But there's the part of you inside that has no name, has no identity, that's looking for its position in your story so that it can be, because it is the God within. That's the intelligence that processes everything you're seeing and hearing and smelling. It's not you, the name, that's doing that. You can't you can't say how anything's done. If you did it, you'd know how you made it. So there's another intelligence, subconscious, whatever conscious, but you hear it all the time because it's the one that's constantly telling you, no, this isn't right. You need to do something else. No, this isn't right. You need to do something else. So the awakening for me is awakening you, the real you that's inside, and trying to not necessarily give it an identity or a name, but give it equal footing to this version of you. That's the story that says, oh yeah, I believe in this. And the real you doesn't believe because it is. The other version of you has to believe because it doesn't own any stories. It's a story that has been told. It's a thing that if I say to you, I want to find you, I can't find you because who you were yesterday is not who you are today. It's an ever-changing story, the concept of you, or the concept of the story of you. But the real you, that one is still all the time, or not still.
Dominant.
That's the one that wants more. That's knocking on you to say, come on, you're more than this. And it's not the money, it's not the house, it's not the car, it's not that. Something inside you that wants to help, talk, be. That's the one that drives you from the inside because it isn't the one outside that is so afraid of, I'm ashamed if I don't have this, I'm ashamed if I don't have that. And it's motivated by shame.
It's a beautiful thing what you're saying, bro, because the true self knows not anxiety, knows not desire, knows none of these things, doesn't know hate. It's just love, continual love, you know what I mean? Love of self, love of the creator, love of creation. Everyone, man. Even the ant, and the elephant. Could be an ant, it could be an elephant. Come in, you know what I mean?
Oneness, once with nature. And to give an example, you could have catastrophes going on in California, El Ninos, Australia gets affected by the bushfires. So, and that's all over the world. Like you had the Ice Age, then the Green Sahara was in Africa, wet lush lands, animal life, everything, migrations. So if you look at it, then the earth, if there's a problem in one part of the world, it's the problem for the whole world. But there's this divide of like, well, my country, as long as nothing's happening over there, I don't care if this place is getting bombed or this is going on or whatever. But that's the responsibility of oneness. But there's too much divide. Of course, racism, even could be religious issues. It could be whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's always different things to divide us up. So I think the oneness, like you say, in love is obviously is more stronger than hate. You know what I mean? And
That's right.
totally, no, totally, definitely. I'm going to bring Chase in now. You know about obviously during the slave trade when they wanted to ban the African drum chase. You know, do certain things. You know, one obviously stole our last names, languages, stole our culture, stole a lot of things. But you did have people in Haiti who were able to preserve the African spirituality. People in Brazil, parts of Trinidad, Cuba, Santeria. So, where you're from? Were you from the South originally, Chase?
From the north, from Ohio.
Oh, okay, Ohio, yeah.
But I mean, but both my grandmothers were indigenous. So one was Lakota Sioux on my mother's side, and the other was Blackfoot on my father's side.
Okay. So now there's different ways how people deal with that. Some people say, well, the indigenous people, black people of America, and then some people see it as like, no, we were from the straight-haired Indian. So there's
No.
different ways. So from what you're, have you seen pictures and photographs of your grandparents?
Yeah.
Because some of them, oh, what we got to remember
You
this,
mean my
Ross.
great grandma? You mean my great
Yeah,
grandmothers who were?
yeah, because
Yeah.
some of the Africans, remember, intermingled with some of these indigenous peoples because they were at war with the same people. The
Yeah.
Seminoles of Florida.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it would be sometimes be the other way around as women,
Yeah.
or they both were involved with white men, like so where one was Scottish and the other was like from England and stuff like that. So I mean that's how that's how it was. But I mean, the thing about but the thing about that, I mean, what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about like two things that Errol and Edison was talking about, if I can. One was like what I liked what Edison was talking about was like about that vulnerable self, that is like the true power inside of us, and but it's protected by the alter ego that it creates to protect itself, you
100%.
know,
Yeah.
and everything. So, like in that aspect, is that we're never who we really are. We're who we are told we should be or pretend to be, and it's always hard to kind of like crack the ice shell to, reveal our actual vulnerable selves, which is our truest selves and nature, which I think Edison was talking about. But also too is like when Errol was talking about, I liked because the word that came to my mind was like doubt, and that was what holds people back. Like when he was talking about again the Jesus story or the chosen story, and the guy who didn't know whether or not if he wanted to be saved. Is because I think we spend our lives wanting something that we think we deserve, that we should have, but then when we are often offered that opportunity, doubt steps in. And like, well, maybe do I really deserve it? Why not him or her or whatever? And so it's like, well, what were you shouting about before, man? You know what I mean? Here's your opportunity. This is what Jesus would do. Is like he would ask, do you want this? And it's like, well, I don't know. Somebody else deserves it more. And I mean, that was always the case, was doubt that people had, that do I deserve to be saved? Do I deserve a good health? Do I deserve a good life. And it was like we all do, bro. But you're stepping in your own way. You know what I mean? And that's the shadow of doubt that every one of us has. And it's hard to, because when that out, we could complain and shout a lot when it's not in our face. When the offer is not in front of us. But when it is, that's when we go, oh, wait a minute, hold on, bro. You're actually going to give me that? Wait a minute, hold on for a minute. I don't know, do I deserve that? And I mean, I just think that's just, it's wild, man. It's wild.
Self-doubt, basically, and it can also go.
Self-doubt is our worst enemy, bro. It's our worst enemy, and that enemy comes from within.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
not from without, because nobody gives you doubt. You give yourself doubt.
Mm.
It's about what you think you deserve.
I'll
But
come in on that a little bit later, Chase. I've got something to add when you're done on that.
No. Go for it, there, Raz. I mean,
No,
but
Well,
I just wanted to cover that because I didn't want to
I'll bring
interrupt.
you in
no,
anyway,
no.
then, Braz. Anyway, I'll bring
It's
you
a
in
beautiful
anyway.
thing. No, it's a beautiful thing because it's like, and it's not a one-up thing or nothing. But like because I'm in mental health, right? And I think we all know that like self-doubt, obviously it's put it this way, right? It's something that we've all been attacked with from growing up,
Capable of.
right?
Yeah.
We've all, and the messages around us, right, kind of influence how we decipher. And if we don't have that loving, conscious family background or the fortune to have good relationships, good friends, consciousness, it can be very difficult
Yeah.
because psychological damage. I mean, think about it, right? And I'm not getting harping on about the slavery and them things there, but like we were removed from our land. Yeah, we had our tongues cut out so we couldn't speak the mother tongue. We were named by the slave master. Some of us, we reached a point, and we still see it now, where we wouldn't run from the plantation because we felt we were stealing from master. We saw ourselves a possession of master, and it's a psychological war, a spiritual war, a physical war. I just wanted to come in with that because being in the mental health, I've learned so much about myself and humans, people as a whole, and how they set up the whole infrastructure of Babylon and the world, the elite. They're farming us, like we spoke about farming. They're farming us, bro. They're using us like batteries. They're taking all our energy away from us, and they're giving us fear and anxiety and self-destruction habits in return. I just wanted to, because you're not wrong, I'm just adding to it, Ras. That's all. So that's it. I'm not going to talk too long. I just thought I wanted to say that. So it takes a great person, right? A great person and somebody who was fortunate enough to have great connections to rise up out of self-doubt. You know what I mean? That's how I see it, because I see it every day. Jano, you know what I mean? You have some of us living like dogs, bro. Yeah, and you have some dog like we've been trained like dogs, like we've been domesticated, man. And we have to break that habit, you know what I mean? And that's the only way we're going to discover our true self. All of us here aren't trained dogs, but I'm sure we could look back at a time when we realized we had to break that spell. And the breaking that spell was a gradual work, you know. I mean, I'm still working on myself. We could have 100 lifetimes that we're conscious of, and we're still working on ourselves. Bless, man. I just wanted to say
man,
that.
Nice. Well, you know what? It's like back to the oneness again. Errol, I'm sure you hear that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I mean? And it's sort of like back when I was saying before, if there's one problem going on the earth, it's going to affect the other part of the earth. One part of the oceans, polluted. The other part's going to be eventually polluted. We're bringing you in on this, Errol, now.
Yeah.
So what are you saying in terms of
like sort of like what Raz was, I'm sort of like bouncing from what Raz was saying, with how individuals. What were you saying, Raz? You were saying before about because I just added on about like you talking about you. What were you saying the last sentence before?
I think let me see if I can I call that right. I think we were talking about doubt, right? And like none of us, I don't think there's any of us, right, that want to doubt. But unfortunately, I mean, think about it, right? There's some people, right, who have been born from the unions of pimps and prostitutes, and yet they rise up. And rise up. And there's some people that, you know what I mean, born from righteous, you know, mother and father, and they may actually succumb to the wayside. But we know cause and effect, and most people who have coming from a background of a strong parent and a strong family network and are blessed to have self-love and find themselves growing up with good friendships that have lasted decades, you got a better chance in this life, right? So I was just making the point that, you know what I mean? Like there's so much distraction in the world. And like, I'm not making a competition, but we have suffered probably the most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so therefore it's about like shining the light, right? Working on self and just shining the light.
That's why, sorry.
Nobody wants to be a doubter. No one wants to be a doubter. But that doubt, self-doubt, is being inculcated in us from outside forces for hundreds of years.
This is why I mentioned the oneness, sorry, because like
bless man.
Yeah, the village, what I mean is like if you see one child falling off, there's always someone to raise him or give him that support. That's why I meant about oneness. It takes a village to raise a child. That's what I was coming to. Errol, I'm going to bring you in now.
Okay. Yeah, well, the question you asked Chase about the drums, in terms when we were talking about drums, which is, you know, in that village setting.
Yeah.
You know, and like, as you know, I was in a African dance group for at least 12, 15 years of my life. So I know a lot about talking drums and these type of things, you know, and how, you know, history and you could say prophecy and seeing and all of these things were performed through drum, dance, storytelling, and so on and so forth, you know. So, and that kind of continued. Like you say, if one part of the world there's an upset, it carries to the other parts of the world. So when they took us from Africa into the Caribbean, the drum was still a major part of our seeing. The drum come like a seer because, you know, the likes of Harriet Tubman and people like that, through music, through songs, through the beating of a certain drum pattern, they knew where the where the boat was to take them to freedom, you know, and that's how the message was carried through music, through drum. And I can imagine drum was probably the first sound before the songs came. You know what I mean? Because we always say drum is the first beat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you know?
Interesting, brother.
And it's very much like a first language.
Well, the interesting thing about you said the drum the first. When I was listening to jazz music and Professor Smalls was speaking on it, he was saying that the saxophone and the drum, when they are being played together, it's forming a relationship. And it was obviously it's deep. You've been into music, so you see how compatible things can be.
Yes.
How much of what sound can create different sounds. So
But
I just thought
it goes back to what Edison's saying. It's that vibration again.
Yeah, the vibration.
Through that vibration of the drum song, there's a strong vibration running through it, and it's always for a cause. So these are where we're talking about prophecy and seers. You know, people like Harriet Tubman, you know, was able to see the situation, and try and work out, you know, a salvation through that to get a people to freedom. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so, you know, so we could talk about ancient seers or prophets, but there's been many throughout our history.
Ones that have not been named as well.
That haven't even been named.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would say Harriet Tubman was clearly a seer. What she seen going on around her, she knew how to, you know, to be fixed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's many, and that's not coming through a divine inspiration.
I wanted to ask you about
like the prophet.
I think I spoke to you one time. You were part of a movement called the 12 Tribes. Was it the 12 Tribes?
Yeah, Rasta organization.
What is the? Because I mean, I look at these Hebrew Israelites of America, for example, and they've come over to the UK and they speak on like the prophecies of the slavery going through 400 years. Is led to be like they say America, they say the Caribbean, they even include certain Native Americans in on it, different peoples. So is it anything like? Is that anything similar with the 12 tribes?
The 12 tribes would be totally different towards the Hebrew Israelites.
Okay.
They may have some things in common in terms of they both use the Bible.
Right. Okay.
And are looking at the Bible as a black history and as black people as true Israelites or the 12 tribes would be a spiritual Israel.
Do they use the Ethiopian Bible though?
Some do and some don't. You know, so there's a lot of nothing's really set in stone as such, from my opinion. So people kind of draw from, maybe use different Bibles. When I was a member of 12 Tribes, we were always told to read the Schofield Reference Bible, which was not an Ethiopian Bible, not even, you know, so mainly for the footnotes, you know, to interpret the footnotes and stuff like that. But I mean, that's a whole nother story to go into. But yeah, the Rasta concept with the 12 tribes was kind of like a new concept within Rasta, from what you had from the Nyabingi, which is and the Bobo Shanti, which is more of a black liberation struggle.
Yes, that was it.
Emphasis, where 12 tribes opened it up to the whole world to become a Rasta, to fight for reparations and repatriation. They see themselves as a spiritual Israel, using the similar stories to what they seen in the Bible, and then took them onto themselves.
Okay.
And seeing Ethiopia as the promised land, and so on. You know, so different concepts in that.
Interesting.
Yeah, totally different concepts. So their vision was to reach Africa, to repatriate back to Africa. Where Haile Selassie gave a portion of land to the black people of the West after the war with Italy. People that helped. But so the Rasta claim is more of it's not based on what you could say race, the 12 tribes one anyway, because anyone can be a 12 tribe member, black, white, brown, from any nation, and they're spread right across the world as well. New Zealand, Germany, Netherlands, South Africa, you know, places in Africa and Europe.
Okay. Well, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna come round to everybody. I'm gonna ask everyone the same question now. And basically, I'm coming to you now, Edison. Well, you can say what you said, but what I was coming to is mysticism. But what was you going to say anyway? I don't want to.
It's two things. Yeah, I'll try and say them quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's what everyone is saying, because we're all saying the same thing, just with different words. So Chase brought up the self-doubt. Yeah. And how effectively we are suffering from it, all of us. Yeah. And then Raz brought up again the fact that the black people's plight, we don't want to harbor on it because we've been told not to. You know how someone put a chip on your shoulder and said, don't complain about it. That one. Yeah. But what education has done, because this is the gap that they don't show us, that effectively education programs your nervous system.
Yes, Aya.
So your nervous system effectively is the one that gives you the permission to do any act you want to choose to. Hence the concept of being nervous.
It's a condition, and you're right, nervous condition.
And that education telling you that again what Chase was saying about how they've kind of not told us anything about what we are and where we came from. Our nervous system has been built that anything that tells us of anytime we want to think of being greater or being more, we're in conflict with the education we've been given. Our nervous system has told us where we should be from what we've been told, and we haven't been given any additional information to believe anything to the contrary. So a lot of our self-doubt, everyone has it, but it's a case where a European would have self-doubt about himself. A black person would have self-doubt about his color, then himself. So there's that additional aspect that has been added to his nervous system, which he has to overcome, but it's still very hard because his default, there's a whole thing about what you went through as a child becomes your default as an adult.
Yes, yes.
Before you get a chance to make a decision, your nervous system says, what worked in the past, shut up and be quiet. And that will kick in before your conscious mind turns around and says, no, I shouldn't be doing that. Already you've done it because that's how your system's been built. So yes, exactly. It's an extension from there, where effectively much of our self-doubt is that our nervous system has been designed in such a way that it triggers to things that we don't have control of. That was the whole point of education. That was the whole point of the big lies. That was the whole point of putting different white faces, because we always complain about blackface, but no one complains about whiteface. Yeah, whiteface is 10 times much more prevalent and all over the place, but they kind of just removed that from history. So you don't know all these famous people in history were black, and they don't tell you that. They've just white-faced them and didn't change the country. So that's what we're
and because we're not from there, we believe it because we're not from that time period.
Exactly.
We believe it.
Continue.
So run with this big lie. So that's one. The second one is in reference to what you were saying, James, because I was watching this really interesting or two interesting shows about where in China there was an area that was getting sandstorms, terrible sandstorms, because the deserts that they had over there, apparently, they didn't have the land was dried so much that the sand would pick up and go through there. Now, originally, there were some horses. These horses that they had, and these horses were extinct, were no longer in that land. So they brought these horses from some other places around the world and allowed them to breed there. And these horses started pounding the ground as they was running around. And as they pounded the ground, eventually water could come up. And before you know, grass that wasn't there, because the desert was eating the grass started to grow. Because when they were running on the land, the water was coming through and the grass was reclaiming the desert. This is the concept of the earth. Is sick. And things that used to be there, that used to make things work, have been taken out. And people don't know, out of their greed for more money, they're now quick to then destroy a land, not knowing that they're taking things out, building buildings, and the land is now sick. And what used to make this place safe and healthy, because it was an ecosystem, the horses needed to be there for the land to grow, you took them out. And now the land is, the problem is now taking place. There was another one with beavers, and beavers doing beaver dams that sort of stopped a place from being saturated as well. So we have so many stories in this world where it used to be a certain way. I agreed, we ate them, did whatever, and didn't appreciate that those things and those animals were serving a purpose that this side didn't know. This side didn't know that this side was being there. So literally, it's what you said, that when one place is sick is because they don't realize that, and that's just an example. So those are my two things.
Okay, interesting. Totally right. Chase, I'm bringing you in now. Continue where you need to go. But then after you finish, I'm going to jump in because I want to bring something in on mysticism to go around. But
okay, cool.
Go on. Chase, you just continue, then I'll jump in after you.
Continue on what?
Okay.
That's a good point.
All right, all right. I'll tell you what you had mentioned before about the indigenous blood in you. Any other histories on prophecies? What these spoke on? Did they ever speak on, for example, where they were aware they were going to be conquered? It's like I was explaining about the Zulus. They have in their prophecies that new arrivals will come and conquer them.
No. I mean,
Okay.
not to
Any
my
prophecies?
knowledge.
Any prophecies that you got? Anything
Um,
orderly passed
uh,
down from your
yeah,
ancestors?
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. But I wouldn't, I'm sorry, I don't happen to have any.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem. It is
You
what it
know,
is. You know what I mean? We know the history of America, so
I mean,
at the end of the day, it is.
no, I mean, all I can really say, and I don't want, and I think that I would love, to set up, in the next conversation, that we have, podcast to be about it. But I mean, about really about Africans being Indians,
But
and
that's
that,
this goes back to Brother Renoka Rashidi, the African
mhm.
presence, the global African presence.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
It
mean,
all ties into it in some sort of way because he's dealt with every continent
yeah,
and
yeah. So we could
you
talk
know,
about it
yeah,
at another time. But no, I don't have any mystic stories about Indians.
yeah.
I
There's a
mean, I've only done one sweat lodge, and I do believe in the power of vision questing and
yeah.
stuff like that. And that's the only mystic thing is the peyote and the vision quest is real.
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever get in any of these organizations in America, the Nation of Islam, Nation of Gods, Hebrew Israelites,
No.
none of them at all?
No, I mean, I was a kid in the '70s, and those organizations you're talking about were like born of that time. Like
The
the Black
Panthers,
Panthers was the '60s, and Islam was, probably like the '60s to the '70s. But I was too young for all of that. You know what I mean?
mm,
Um, I mean, like I did a video that had the brothers in it that Errol was talking about. The 12 tribes and stuff like that. They
yeah,
appeared in one of my videos and stuff. But no, I don't have any involvement in the organizations themselves.
no
It was
problem.
too political for me, bro.
Yeah, but you were dealing. I know you were dealing with the Wu Tang at one time and with Jizza, but
Yeah, that's what I mean.
a
Yeah,
lot of these
yeah,
people,
yeah,
a lot of these came out of the nations of gods, like
yeah, yeah. No, exactly.
Wu Tang Clan, Rakim,
No,
Nas, people like that.
yeah, and actually, to tell you the truth, it's only recently, and this is what I really love about enlightenment, is that the Wu-Tang or the brothers would always call each other gods.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and you would go, all right. Or why they doing that? Or, or whatever. And it wasn't like they believed that they were gods like
yeah,
the
yeah. I
Jews
know where you're
were.
coming from.
Like they believed they were a part. Well, no, I'm just trying to say they believed they were a part of, like as blacks
But
or
remember, they come out of the Nation of Islam first, yeah, and
yeah,
then
yeah, but that
obviously, let me just continue 1 second. And you know the history of what go on, isn't it? Okay, he founded, he called him Farad Muhammad. He used to call him God in the person. Then down the line, when Clarence X13 set up the Nation of Gods, he was moving away from calling this man God, Farad Muhammad. So basically,
Mhm.
they took on God has got to look like us. As for that,
yeah,
Muhammad, he looks like he was either Indian or he was white or he was
He
whatever he
yeah,
was
was. He
he
went,
was Arab. He was Arab. He
yeah,
was called
Arab, yeah, yeah.
Master
That's what I'm
Farad.
saying.
I
So
did a bit of time in the Nation of
good,
Islam, so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So,
slightly,
so
yeah.
with the Nation of Gods, I'll be honest, I'm probably more related to them,
Mm,
And then even sometimes people say, well, they weren't as strict as the Nation of Islam, but I could
mm,
more relate to them
mm.
having to break off. And rather than look at God as in somebody who's from outside, he was looking from inside. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
yeah. But that
Even
was
though
just only, and all I wanted to say was,
I'm
I mean,
separating
at
it from
first
the
I wasn't
creator, by the way.
respectful.
I'm not trying to
No,
put
no,
it
no,
like,
no.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I just wanted to say at first I wasn't as respectful of it as I should have been. But what I'm trying to say is now with enlightenment, I get it. It's like just believing in the divinity of yourself.
Yeah.
That you deserve to be, like a god. You deserve to think of yourself as elevated, especially in brotherhood. And so when they would go, God, yo, what's up, God, and all that kind of stuff, it was like they weren't like, hey, I got magic powers and I'm a god.
No, they weren't coming on that tip.
Saying
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, we're powerful, we're brotherhood,
And what they
and we're
did say as
powerful.
well, interesting thing, they judge a person by the actions rather than the nation of gods. That's what was interesting as well. So people weren't getting let off the hook because there was some shady people in the Nation of Islam who, some of the people turn on X and sitting other people and that, you know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, let me Raz, yeah.
Give thanks, bro, because I'm gonna have to go soon.
Yeah, so, I wanted to, you can either continue this one, but also I want to touch on mysticism. That's where I wanted to go. But if you want to continue this and jump in it.
I'll be honest with you, right? Like these things that you mentioned and deserve a podcast in their own right. But I will say this, right? What we see as mysticism, I mean, it's just an everyday occurrence, and I don't want to sound like
problem. Yeah,
because I'm just enveloped in what is supposed to be the definition of mysticism. I'm not saying that I am a mystic, although I'm able to project some mysticism and I'm able to receive the mysticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these things can come from any living thing, or even the elements like the wind blowing, or the sea rolling, or thunder and lightning, the sun shining, the stars are shining in the sky, the moon, the sun. I just feel like, what I'm saying, I'm part of this greater good, bro. And yeah, we can call it mysticism because at the end of the day, right, them say, are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? I'm just a natural mystic. And I give thanks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my wife don't wear lipstick, so everything is cool. You know what I mean? So I'm giving thanks, bro. I really do. I give thanks. I give thanks for joining up with the brothers and reasoning upon a higher heights. It's been a beautiful experience, as it always is. I give thanks to you, right? Because you brought us all together on your platform.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to mysticism, I think we could go into another podcast about that because if we overload the card could over.
Well, so I was trying to connect it all into, because I see the interconnectedness of everything.
Yeah, man, that's the same way.
It's just like I was speaking about the Nation of Gods before to Chase.
Yes.
If you look at like Fard Muhammad, for example, before them, they had the Moorish Science Temple, Noble Drew Ali. Mysticism, a lot of their, you tie into Masonry, you tie it into whatever you want to tie it into, you know what I mean? So that's where I was going with it, with mysticism. And I was actually, when I first thought of mysticism, it was actually when Errol was talking before, but I didn't want to cut him off. And I know the Orthodox Christianity, one time I was speaking about it, and you were telling me stuff about, there's a lot of mysticism in there as well.
Yeah,
the difference between the Orthodox and some of the other traditions, Errol.
Yes.
Sorry?
I was saying, one time I had a separate conversation with you about mysticism, and I was just speaking from a traditional perspective and that, and you mentioned about the Orthodox, the mysticism in there, because obviously I've never looked into the Orthodox style of things, you know what I'm saying? So if you could speak on a little bit of the mysticism in the Orthodox.
Well, I would say,
what's different from maybe Western Christianity, let's say, the differences?
Well, it's just a wide question, but the difference is, we're in Western Christianity, they have what we would call legalism, where the Orthodox is more flexible.
Yes.
Disciplined, but flexible.
Yeah.
Where everything has to be defined in the West.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
There's no room for mysticism.
Yes.
Everything is 2 + 2 is 4.
Okay.
This is the canon of the Bible, and there's 66 books. And that's all you need to read. but the Orthodox doesn't really define a canon.
Okay.
So it's more living and growing.
So with like sense. So from a Western perspective, like for example, I've noticed that they favor the left brain more. Example, intellect, where the right side, intuition, is like intuition not really taken as serious as the traditional people. Intuition.
Yeah,
it was about balance basically. With the left brain, the intellect. Yeah.
Okay, but it's more of a spiritual living experience.
Yes.
More than based on a legalistic experience, which is based on books and defining everything that it's this, it's that, and everyone must do this and everyone must do that. But everybody is in their own time and space and has their own levels of ability to carry out whatever the act may be, the disciplines. So I'd say, and that, like I say, Ross says, it's a whole nother.
Well, that will
podcast.
We'll do that. We'll get that one time then. We'll get that.
The short term, I can only explain it at the West is very legalistic in its approach.
Yeah.
Unlike the Orthodoxes, which more maybe flexible is not the way to say. It's more spiritual. It's more based on faith and works and stuff like that.
What you see on like God in the person, like for Farad Muhammad, for example. See that we were talking about the Nation of God, Nation of Islam, and you get many different sects that come off things and that.
Well, I've been in you asked me before. I've been in a tradition like that. We used to say in the 12 tribes, "Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who just revealed Himself in the personality of Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia."
Right.
So that's. So talking about Christ being revealed through another person.
Right.
Pick up in, guys. I have to go now, bro.
Yes, man.
Blessed love,
Yeah, man. Give thanks, Natty.
Yeah, man. Raz, it actually
have to move.
It finishes in 15 minutes anyway. The time. So I'll just get.
But I've got to
dash go anyway.
Because I've got some action without any distraction. You know what I'm saying?
We'll do another link up. We're going to do mysticism next time, then, Raz. Mysticism will be the next one.
I love it, man. I would have stayed, bro. Honestly,
it's all good.
But you know what I mean. But what I'm saying is, let's do more of this, bro. I love it.
Well, this is just the beginning. Anyway. We've got more to come. Peace,
Raz. Talk, man.
We'll talk.
Love and honor, respect,
bro. Man, give thanks.
Yeah, man.
Every
Peace.
time.
Peace,
yeah, man. Keep up the good works, man.
Yeah, man.
Bless
love
and honor.
Yeah, man. Errol, sort of, we were going before, and then Edison come in after that on mysticisms. You just finishing off what you were saying, Errol, or have you finished, weren't you?
What was talking about the mysticism of the.
Like you with the tradition, you're saying like with Haile Selassie.
Yeah. You asked me about
God in the person, like for Muhammad. Yeah.
Somebody. Well, the whole concept is coming from a Judeo-Christian concept where. Within Christianity, you have the incarnation, that's Christ in the flesh, God becoming man. Okay. So that's where all this is coming from, really.
Yeah.
Where people are saying, he's in the divine nature of whoever, Muhammad, Father Muhammad, and so on and so forth. So that's where the root of it is all coming from.
Yeah.
So you find within the Nation of Islam, you have kind of a Christian, Judo, Islamic concept all mixed into one.
All into one, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then Rasta takes elements of Judo-Christian and a form its movement. Do you know what I mean? So
interesting, man. Anyway, Edison, mysticism. When I used to study a lot of your podcast and that,
I don't know heavy. I don't know where to start.
Well, you know what, right? Mysticism.
He says about the next one that probably.
I'll give an example now. When the Greeks came and they were studying in Kemet, they're the ones who said the word. This is the ancient mystery system. The Egyptians did not say it. That'd be like University of Wasset. It was where we teach. We have from age 7 to 47. You needed 40 years to graduate. The Greeks didn't even graduate. As we know anyway. But this is actually a Western word mysticism.
Yeah.
So I think when I use that word, I was just speaking from the perspective that what most of us are used to hearing mysticism, we could just use it simple and say spirituality.
Why I said it's difficult. It's not so
Yeah.
much understanding the term. It's so many different types. Yeah. Because
Okay.
effectively, even if you're speaking, because I came through the different schools, that was just part of my journey. So we came through the Christian schools. So when it came through the Christian mysticism, I did the Psalms. We studied the old 6 and 7 books and all that kind of stuff. We studied all those different things that you could look in the Bible and speak on certain words and what was a holy name and what was it for. If you wanted to do this, you wanted to do that. So we came through the Christian side. I came through the Muslim side. So we actually understood words you can say from Islam that had power and various things I saw there where, you know, they spoke of the different spirits and things like that. They would write in sugar soap and all these kind of things and make you drink it. So I became aware of the Muslim ones as well.
What about the Delta? You're from Delta State?
I'm Delta, so the
So
African one now.
I was just going to say the river.
Yeah, the river. And
Spirits
I've
in
seen
the
some
water
magic done with the
spirits.
river. I've seen some magic done with a river.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing, the underlying thing with those things is that um, there was wisdom in the actual water. So if
Yes.
you're calling on water, you call on water, but you call water by its name. You see, water has its name. Everything in your body has a name.
Like when
All
you
your
pour water
organs
out
have
for
a
the
name
dead.
other than the Western name.
Yeah.
So when you call on those things, the body vibrates or the organ vibrates
Yeah.
because the organ is now being called by its name. And there was an understanding of the knowledge of water, the fire, the earth, your body, all the different organs in your body, all things like a lot of charms were made because they actually knew the name of the organ of the body and understood its electrical magnetic potential. So they knew they could speak to and ask it to increase its power and have you pull certain things towards you. So, and that and Ifar and even in Delta, the village I came from, you know, they knew were one with nature. They could heal people's illnesses and, like I said, call rain, call all different kind of things. So therefore, the mysticism was who we were. We gave that up for money and education, yeah, and beliefs. And then all of a sudden, stripped ourselves of the power that we had in the nature of, oh, well, these people seem to have money. They seem to buy things. They got all these finer things. And we gave up who we were to have what it is that they have.
Well, they always there's some traditions, indigenous traditions talked about in like the future, people are going to be choosing the material world over the spiritual world as
Well, the
well.
people have chosen that.
It is.
We're in the material world now because
Yeah.
even our names and everything we are is all focused on the material. So if you imagine the real you, the invisible you that I
Yeah.
was speaking of, that is an intelligence within you.
Yeah.
Your body is the machine it uses. Your body isn't you. People refer to you based on your body and the name of your body, but the essence that is you is not your body. Does it lie down? No. Your body lies down. Does it sleep? No. You sleep. Your body sleeps. So the essence of you is the original and first mysticism or what have you that you need to know. Because with that, it's going to connect you to all the worlds, all the dimensions, all the places that exist within you. And the ancients or the Africans knew that. That's why their focus wasn't on showing material power, it was inner power.
Yeah.
It was the knowledge of where they are, where they come from. And when I say where they come from, here's the irony. There's no one that walked out of the ground.
Yeah.
There's no one that walked out of the earth. Wherever we landed on this planet, we landed and proliferated from there because people can eat the land. They can grow from the energy of the land, but no child walked out of any earth.
So
Everyone came out of a woman when she was located in that location. So even
like,
when someone says, I come from Africa, they say, really? Do you come from Africa? Or is it that you came out of the earth in Africa, onto the earth on Africa?
Yeah, but so this is where the evolution kind of, like we were saying before about the Western perspective of things, evolution is like the scientific, the Western science, I call it, because science is science, but Western science seems like it's something else, a limitation.
That's why they had to create a God.
And all that. So if you go back to like
creating a God, it removed the God in you.
Yeah.
And now instead of you trusting in the power of yourself, you regulated yourself to be a subject or a servant or in debt to an idea.
It's even like looking at the word life, you know what I mean? Like life's not respected. An example from the ancients, they spoke on, like, for example, the water is life.
Yeah.
You know, living, breathing entities like the sun, the moon, the stars, you know what I mean? So this is all life. But everything, if you look at now, you know, they're firing things up to space, you know, they're polluting water. They're just like, life doesn't really matter. The amount of wars going on. So I just like
they can create a war, they can bomb somewhere. And the thing is, how do you say water doesn't know how to die?
Yeah.
Nor does a tree if you leave it alone. The tree will live 700 years. If you leave it alone, if you leave it in its natural environment, it doesn't know how to die. The earth doesn't know how to die. It's only humans believe they should die. And as such, they go through the whole process of being afraid to live because they're afraid to die.
Energy never dies.
Every other animal just lives their life.
Exactly.
They're not sitting there thinking of some hereafter or what have you. And this is where we laugh at trees, because trees don't need to move, but they can grow and they live their life. And people think the tree doesn't do anything, it just sits there. How boring could it be to be a tree? But people take these trees to get high, to have experiences. So if you have to take those things to get high, what does the tree do itself?
Yep.
The tree can provide a high for you, and it doesn't know how to do it for itself.
Yep.
The tree could travel to all these different places and knows one single fact, that it's the consciousness. It's not the external form. The external form is for you to see, but the actual being inside it may not be restricted, and nor are you. You can be anywhere in your imagination, but you've been told that you're your body, this is your story. So you keep returning back to the idea that someone gave you who you are. So it's all the mysticism, and the most mystic thing you're ever going to find is that relationship you have within yourself, because in there is the driver for you wanting to find it outside of yourself. When you pray, what you do, you close your eyes, because you know that wherever the kingdom of God is inside you, that's why you close your eyes to find it. You don't go looking in the sky, you close your eyes, and then you travel within yourself to try and find something.
Well, this is like going against a 5 sense reality, which we've been fed. Yeah. Everything has to be physical, material, everything you can see, you know what I mean? But like you're saying, when you close your eyes and you pray or meditate, you're seeing something. You're going on a journey, basically. When you sleep, whether it's a dream you're having, this is a live journey, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm going to bring Chase in now. Chase, you want to continue this on mysticism?
What?
Mysticism.
I think you answered it already, didn't you?
I thought you asked me that before.
You asked it at the beginning.
The only thing I really know is, like, I've done a sweat lodge. You know, that was pretty mystic for me. You know, because I saw my spirit animal, and it was really crazy. You know, because I was on, like, my native land in Canada. It was like my grandmother's people of the Lakota Sioux and everything like that, and it was really a powerful experience. but like, but you figure, hey, all I'm doing is sitting in the sweat lodge, sweating. But, obviously, through the smoke and the chanting and all of that other kind of stuff, we went places, or I did, and saw a spirit animal, which was a voracious bear, which seemed like it was eating itself, and which was very powerful for me. I mean, and I think that was my only really true experience because I was hypnotized once on stage, but I could swear that I was awake. So,
Was you taking
yeah,
anything? Was you taking
huh?
anything? Was you taking anything?
Well, I don't think I did. I mean, I'm not sure because I think what they're supposed to do is supposed to put peyote in a bowl and pass it around. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And everything else like that. So I think I may have taken a sip of something,
Could
but
have been.
the only other kind of trips I've had was on ecstasy, but could I
Okay.
say that
Yeah, yeah.
online?
Do what you want to do.
Not on live
Yeah.
video.
But you know what, right? You know what? There's certain different type of stimulants, isn't it? I mean, some people could be smoking
Yeah,
ganja, whatever. But
yeah.
one always stands out to me is people speaking about ayahuasca.
Oh
I've never
yeah, I mean,
I've never took it, but
I wish I could say that I had like some true ayahuasca on that journey. But I do recommend sweat lodging, and they do that in England, and everything like that. You don't have to actually do it on native land or whatever and stuff like that. But
I don't know
you
about that.
know,
But I don't know think I'd ever take the chance of doing that ayahuasca. But
yeah.
everyone's different. Some people say this experience is good, and some people had traumatizing experience. But
Well,
You're
no, I
supposed to
mean,
build
yeah, but
up to it. You're
it's
you're
the
supposed to
supposed
same
to
thing.
build up to it. Okay, okay, yeah,
take
It's
the
the
yeah.
same thing
mushrooms,
with mind
then
altering.
iboga,
It's the same thing.
Mushrooms.
It's the same thing with mind altering drugs, though, isn't it? I mean, like the deal is that like I said, when I was on ecstasy and stuff like that, it's like, um, you your mind can be altered very easily to experience mystical things.
mm,
Mm,
Um, and whether you're safe or not, but it just shows you our bodies are susceptible to anything, in that fashion. But it takes a good, strong belief system in what you're dealing with.
mm.
You
mm.
know what I mean? Like I said, like being hypnotized on stage, you're realizing that, hey, I ain't going nowhere. you know,
And
Mm.
being
you
on
guys are fake,
stage as
but
well. Being on
I'll play
stage.
along. I'll play along and act like a chicken.
Yeah.
Mm.
And like you say,
but
being on stage though, you're drawing in sort of an energy force anyway because you got a lot of attendees and stuff like kind of.
well, no, but I'm just trying to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
it wasn't a reality to
yeah.
me. That experience wasn't real.
Yeah.
So I would think all, hypnotic experiences, or have a certain caginess to it. But when you add the mind numbing substances to it and the more of a different kind of setup, you can actually experience mystical things, is what I'm trying to say. It depends on the setting, really. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. All right.
And I
Yeah.
have had those experiences with what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. I'm gonna go round one more time, and I want to. We just like we were speaking before, Edison, about we meant about the five sense reality. It's all about the physical, what you can see. I'm coming to you, Errol, now on the unseen. And when I say the unseen, not that we see it, but I mean the unseen is in that is like missed. It's kind of like missed out of the Western. Like we've taken the intuition out. It's everything is just physical. More on the unseen.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's you're talking about what people would call the spiritual world.
That's it. Yeah, the spiritual world.
You
Yeah,
know, the the,
yeah,
the world of spirits.
yeah.
Well, it's just like Edison was saying. The real us doesn't have a form, a shape.
Mm.
It doesn't have a name. You know, the invisible part of us is the real part of us. You know, some people may call it the soul or the spirit, but you know, from any perspective, we're talking about that invisible
Yeah.
element to us, which many people see that as the divine part of us.
Yeah.
You know, that's connected to what we call the unknown
Yeah.
or God or wherever. You know,
Yeah.
so that's where when we define mysticism in the Orthodox Church, we're saying that God exists, but it's still mystical. You can never know God, and if anyone tells you that they know God, well, they've just lost the plot. Because
Well,
how could you define something that is beyond defining?
and we did a podcast actually called "Who Was the Mystery God?" actually one time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very powerful podcast, though. You know,
Mm.
was
You
brilliant.
know,
That.
so that invisible world is,
Mm.
is more powerful than the visible world.
Yeah.
We're even doing it now
Yeah.
because we're using words that we can't see. We can
Yeah.
only hear them.
Yeah.
And how much power do them words carry? They have the they have the power to transform, to destroy, to unite, to hate, to love, to do all of these things. And it's an invisible force that we do it through. Our thoughts are invisible, our words are invisible, but
Mm.
yet still it's the most powerful element on earth when it comes to people
That's
because they're only known by our words.
yeah. And
Obviously,
it's
by actions as well. But
mm.
the invisible part is the word.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's the unseen is if you look just back into the history of the ancestors, big on the unseen, you know, and like it's funny how they channeled in as well.
Mm.
Like then again, there's no distractions like there is today. You know what I mean? The distraction today is poison the mind. You know, it's and like I was saying on the left brain, there's too many left brains running the world. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I'd like to make a point that Edison made about when he followed up from Chase about doubt,
Mm,
that how we've been programmed through the education system.
yeah.
And give me a second. And I think there's been studies going on in Europe, in Sweden, and places like that. Now, do you realize that they don't send their children to school until they reach the age of 7? Because what the studies are showing is that when you're sending kids to school 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're not ready to learn yet.
Mm,
And
Mm,
they start to get nervous. They start to doubt themselves because they can't do things and they get frustrated. So what the evidence is saying is that children should start learning at a later age in life
interesting you mentioned
to
seven then,
develop that self-confidence.
because Kemet, it was like age 7 to 47 studying, you
There
know.
you go. There you
So
go.
yeah,
So
that
it's
sort of
like,
makes sense. Yeah.
like we always say, old time something, come back again,
Yeah.
So people are looking into things and seeing that, this system is not really working. Too many kids are being developed now with ADHD and all this type of stuff
Mm,
because maybe we're talking about the foundation of your learning begins too young.
mm,
And this
mm.
this is another reason why people doubt themselves
yeah.
because it's being programmed in from such an early age,
Yeah.
you know. So I
Totally.
think what Edison was saying it was really a good point, and it made me think of some studies that I've seen online, and you know, actually one of my daughters knows people who live out there, and basically is just looking at school system. She was looking at homeschooling and stuff like that, but basically, yeah. So they're starting to send the kids much later, 7 and 8, where they start to do things that can challenge the mind.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean?
that's interesting. That, and I know a lot
That's
of
very
people.
rare, yeah.
I know a lot of people want to get the kids in early as possible so they can go and have their little life and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
that's
that.
the
Yeah.
That's
problem.
the
That's
problem,
the
isn't it?
problem. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
That's it, man. You know what I mean? But yeah, Edison. Like I say, we on the unseen. interested in some of the ancestors, how big they were on the unseen, whether they're in many aspects though. You know, I know you've delved deep
No.
before.
This is the thing that we're on right now.
Yeah.
Because we're studying the science
Mm.
behind what it is to see, what is it to hear, what is it to smell. And science knows, because I wish this was something they actually educated us and told us, but they know that we don't see in our eyes. We take in information within our eyes, but we develop the image in the back of our mind. What you see is in a controlled hallucination, and it's a controlled hallucination based on information that you have prior to that situation. So if I'm looking at someone's face, the first thing I do is compare it to something or someone I already know. You'd be surprised.
Familiarity.
You're looking at someone and say,
Familiarity.
your face is
Yeah.
like this because you already have the data in your mind of someone that looks similar. So
Yeah.
straight away you look for familiarity and go, do I know you? You look like straight
Yeah.
away, because that's how the mind takes in information, creates a image based off the information that it previously has stored in memories connected to how people look, how people appear. It's almost like everyone is like a signal, and your brain takes it in, and then your brain sort of gets triggered and says, oh yeah, that's so and so, and then it brings the image up and the story. We've even gone to as far as to say everyone is literally like a neuron circuit in your head, that once you get triggered, their image comes up in your head. It's almost like we're like computer screens. Our brain is like a computer screen, what we're seeing, and we're taking Wi-Fi information and reconstructing it as an image in our mind. Anyhow, that's where the science takes you, which stuff was never taught or what have you. On a spiritual side, they'll always say the invisible world was all, the spirit world was always inside you, because that's where your spirit is.
Yeah. Even
Where
like
the
you know, like mobile phones, how they work. And even before the mobile phone, just even the telephone, you know, like this wire that's running, and then you speak to people in Australia. I've never even understood that. I know they call it waves and all that, but
yes,
there's a
yeah.
deeper meaning. It's something that they're not really actually telling us what I
They're
mean.
not telling you how it works, because
Yeah.
literally we are like antennas.
Antennas,
We're
yeah, yeah.
downloading information in the waveform around us, and we're recoding it into an image, into an experience inside ourselves. So everything is, you're taking in this. You don't hear in your ears, you hear in your head. You don't taste in your mouth, you recognize it in your head. You never say that tastes like this in my tongue. You put it in your mouth. Your receptors will take it to your brain. There's different areas that recognize it and says this tastes like this, and then you say, oh yeah, then you come back afterwards. Even someone touching you in the dark, you couldn't tell who's touching you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If your wife came up to you and touched you in the dark, you'd be like, you wouldn't know it's her hand, her feeling. You would have to look at her and put the whole story together. You say, okay, it's you. I can see your face. I can hear your voice. Now I know it's you. But if someone else touched you and you was in the dark and it was her, you would pull away because it would be unknown and you couldn't see who it is. So
It's
this
even
life
funny.
is almost made up inside our
Yeah.
mind. We
Energy is a
like to
funny
think,
one.
sorry?
Energy is a funny thing. You walk into different rooms, and the energy that you get, you know, like you could be walking to a room of something where, you know what, I don't belong here. You know, like and then you can walk into a room where it doesn't matter, you're by yourself, you just feel it's a welcoming energy without no one even saying a word. I'm talking about
No what? Because
reading energy.
we're down, all we're ever doing really is downloading photons and sound waves and the energy within that. The heart broadcasts energy about 12 feet in front of you. So
Yeah.
people's hearts are actually broadcasting people's nervous system. You walk into a room and your nervous system is trying to work out who's peaceful and who's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as soon as you're there near someone, your nervous system starts, you're getting an alarm. No, I don't want to be here. I'm starting to sweat. I'm starting to go through all different things because your nervous system has picked up that this isn't a peaceful person. And it's
Yeah.
doing it at a level that you consciously can't see, because unfortunately, your body picks up fear before it actually sees it.
Yeah.
That's why if a spider jumps on you, you've jumped, and then you look in your hand and say, oh yeah, there's a spider. If anything touches you, your body doesn't have the chance to wait for you to see it and make sense of it, because it knows that that is slower than how it picks it up and then literally determines whether it's a threat or not.
Yeah.
So there's a whole
Interesting.
load of stuff that they just didn't share with us about how this reality works. And the problem that we have is
another
that
brother
we're
coming.
trying to. Sorry, do you want to welcome the
No,
gentleman?
you just let him come in when he's ready. Yeah, no problem. Just
Yeah.
continue. Chase, sorry. You being around music for years, this is an interesting one. I was listening to Brother Professor Griff from Public Enemy, and he was speaking deep about music. He was talking about different types of music and the different type of vibrations it gives, whether it's like a good vibration, bad vibration. He was speaking about when you make music in basements as well. There's a different kind of vibration. It's almost like it pulling us into like a spiritual realm of like doing music in a basement, doing music in an attic. You know, like, have you ever experienced anything different places where you've made your music, where maybe you even get more creative there?
Well, I mean, like I always hate to like go off off topic from your question, because I mean I actually was like, no, I was looking forward to this one because with the unseen bit, because I actually worked for Derek Acora, the famous
Oh, okay. Big time.
Liverpool mentalist,
Yeah,
yeah,
we know you.
and I was part of his camera crew for about 2 years and stuff, and
The
you know,
Reverend come in.
so obviously his whole thing was about, talking to spirits and all that. And I mean, I can say honestly that I'd never seen him, plant anything. Everything always seemed real, from my perspective behind the camera. But what I was going to say was that like with Darren Brown and all those other kind of mentalist things is that it is a belief system, like you're in a room full of people who want to believe that you can see the spirits of their families. You know what I mean? And so what he's doing is a call and response. Like, does anybody know a person with a letter J or whatever, blah blah blah? And okay, yeah, so Jane is trying to reach you and tell you this. And somebody goes, yes, I know a Jane and everything. And, and he tries to pull up familiar elements that probably are common, like the people, and everything else like that. But out of it all, it's about what they get out of it, the audience, we all are desperate to communicate with those who have passed on, and everything. But there's a sense about it that the spirituality of tapping in, like for example, I would often be like, on our rides home, I would often be like, don't try to read me, bro. Don't try to read me. And could remember one night that he did, and he was like, and my mom had just like passed and everything like that. And like he was trying to give me a message, and I didn't want to hear it at first because I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. It was that raw for me. But it was something that maybe there's something to the vibrational thing that you guys were talking about before. My undying need to hear from somebody that's important to me and everything like that, but I think we are attached, to the spiritual realm, to this unseen thing, like to people who are gone, and I don't dispute the fact that they are here with us or trying to communicate with us, and they don't have a conduit to actually say anything to us or for us to even hear what they have to say. And so, like when you're at a show like that with a mentalist who has been doing it for years, and maybe just trying to say the right things for people, once they get a sense about what your need to hear is. But then again, or maybe they are picking up on vibrations. Maybe they are picking up on stuff, and that's what I come away with that. I don't dispute that kind of stuff, I believe in it. I can't really
Yeah, it's one of those
pinpoint.
things where, like you say, you're not with it, against it, whatever, but it does,
Yeah.
you're allowing possibilities, basically. Let me
I've
just
seen
bring
so
in
many of those
The Reverend,
experiences that you got to go,
the Reverend,
yeah.
the Reverend,
Yeah.
the Reverend, come in. Can you get your camera on? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, let me introduce the Reverend. Come in a little late, but we'll go around another time. But we'll start with you, brother. This is the Reverend. This is a brother into numerology. I had him on, I've had him on a few times. This is Errol Graham, Walter Selassie.
Bless man, give thanks.
This is Chasey from the
Much
States
respect.
too.
Much respect.
You from Ohio? You from what part of the States you from, brother? Reverend.
Peace.
What part of America you from? Is it? What part of the States are you from? America? Oh, we can't. Can you not hear? Anyway, can you hear me, dear Reverend?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you clearly.
What part of America you're from?
Where am I from?
In the States, yeah.
Oh, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts,
Boston
yeah.
area. Yeah.
Yeah, we got another American on
I
Ohio.
thought you were talking to somebody else. I'm
No,
sorry.
no. Anyway, this is Chase, anyway, from the States, from, you know what I mean, Yankee boy. Errol Graham.
Thank you, boy.
Edison as well. This is, yeah, man. But we've been doing the prophecies. You're coming a little late, but all good. I'm going to give you the floor, yeah. Basically, we're dealing with the unseen at the moment. Like when we see the unseen, like there's different ways you can bring it in, whether it's numerology, whether it's spiritually. I don't know if you will listen to some of the stuff, but jump right in. We're going to come to you, bro.
Yeah,
On the
peace,
unseen.
peace. Man, glad to be here, man. Happy to see y'all. Nice meeting y'all. And what I feel about the unseen, it's just what it is. It's unseen, but it's not to say it's not there.
Yeah.
But we definitely have, the shadow. I mean, the shadow that people that's going on in different realms. People that they can come here and be unseen. You know what I'm saying? This beings that advance. And when our people pass away, you know what I'm saying, they're still around. If their spirit was that powerful, you know what I mean, they know how to mimic the spirit and to come back into this realm and still be unseen. And that's why we say, a lot of people be like, oh, I know my family member was here, or something falls, or something happens, because they have that spiritual connection. But
also
with the
numerology as well that you do, like we always speak about the numbers like 1111, like certain numbers that like symbolic, there's more meaning to different numbers. Obviously, you'll hear about 666 in the Bible, or you can hear 111 angel numbers and that.
Yeah, they call them angel numbers.
Yeah.
These are different ways for the unseen world to connect with us. That's why when you see certain numbers at certain times, you automatically look over to it, or you automatically feel some type of way, when you see that number, because that's the unseen world calling upon us, whether it's our ancestors or somebody that's very close to us, trying to waking us up a little bit, trying to let us know that the spirit is still with you. Because we get lost in the spirit, we get lost in the physical so much, we be of the world that we disconnect from the spiritual, and it has to be a balance of both. In ancient times, they really gave lots of food away, and different things to the spirits, because they always believe the spirits you know, appreciated that. That's why people pour their liquor out and different things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting, but we're going to come back around anyway. I'm going to bring Errol in. Errol.
Yeah, what was your initial?
Just to like follow up. So we dealt with the unseen. We can either continue the unseen, or we can go into other topics. It's up to you. Or do you feel, is the momentum good on this one, or is this like a separate podcast?
Just before that brother come in, we were talking with something with Chase about.
I mentioned about music, but then he went into something else. Chase, didn't you?
Yeah, I would talk about spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah. The unseen. It's mainly the unseen.
Yeah, we're talking about the unseen. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I said a little bit about that before in terms of the spirit world. With my glasses,
different realms and stuff, and you know what I mean. Let me put something to you. I wanted to ask you.
Go on.
A lot of people were speaking on this celestial realm. I don't know if it's in the Bible. I don't know, but I've seen a lot of Christians speaking on it. But I don't know.
That would be part of the unseen world.
Now, the reason why I brought that up. You know, the way we have different dimensions, fifth dimension, third. So we are in the three-dimensional space. So the fourth dimension he was speaking on, this is where the celestial realm, this is where the demons are, this is where and then the fifth dimension was like the higher realm of like you're able to see through all that. So the dimensions are being connected to this. It's just a different language how people speak. Some people speak through energy, spirit. So that's why I was asking about the celestial realm, because they were trying to place that in 4D.
Okay, I don't understand where they're coming from in terms of...
I don't myself, but like I say, I'm aware of these different dimensions and that. But when they placed the 4D, now the 4D in the conspiracy, or I don't know if you want to use the word conspiracy. Basically, they speak about 4D as if like these people who are running the world are in 4D, and they're able to keep us oppressed, and we need to get to the 5D to be able to overcome them in the 4D.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like some mad conspiracy.
But the celestial realm, the celestial realm anyway, they placed that in 4D. So whether it's called 4D or not, the celestial realm, I don't know if that's in the Bible or not.
Well, yeah, it's in many traditions. There's not a tradition on earth that doesn't have a celestial.
Yes, okay.
Invisible, world. Whether people call them spirits.
Yeah. It's like a level of realms, the different level of realms. It's like, and the higher you are.
I think what it is, James, is sometimes we think of realms, and we may. There's two ways of looking at it. Is a realm a condition of consciousness or a place?
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to talking about things like the spiritual world. Is it a different realm, or is it in our world, and our eyes are just blind to it because we now have the blinkers on? We have a veil that now covers our eyes from seeing.
I think that's a very interesting point you've made there.
The truth.
Yeah, very interesting.
Do you know what I mean? So it's so there's a lot to dissect when it comes to talking about these type of things, because people have so many different views on it. That what do we really mean when we're talking about the spiritual world? I
mean, you can look at that from a perspective of this physical body. Like this is our spacesuit to be able to survive in this three-dimensional space, and that's all it is. And then our spirit can be in different realms, and maybe it's different times that we feel. And when I said I was looking at it from a dimensional perspective, because if you look at something in one dimension, for example, that's just like a straight line, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's if you believe in that this world is a three-dimensional, to understand it like that.
I wouldn't say this world, I'd say our vision is like what we see, the 5 sense reality. The 5 sense reality. A lot of us deal with the 5 sense reality, even though some of ourselves are aware there's beyond, but the way we navigate through this planet is dealing with the 5 sense reality.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like people will come from their own perspective of what they think the 5 senses are,
Yeah.
and then what they believe is going beyond that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the way I understand it, it's connected, isn't it? Because we are made of visible material and invisible material.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're talking about. What Edison said before, that invisible you. You know, whether we refer to it as a soul or your spirit, you know, it's still an invisible entity.
Yeah.
Which without that invisible entity, you couldn't be you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because the two come together. And that's what we're talking about. The whole thing of you're saying them brothers were calling each other God. You know, it's seeing that what the invisible part is always seen as the divine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the physical part sometimes is underestimated as if it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
live that spiritual life in a physical body.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
right.
that is the aim. You know, for instance, in Greek philosophy, they believe that the spirit was all that mattered. The body was just like to be when it died. They believe that you've escaped this torment of this world. You know, which you believed in two gods: a higher God that made the invisible world and a lower God that made the physical world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Definitely, man. Yeah,
it
man.
all depends on perspective.
Definitely
Like when
interesting.
your
And
soul
like I
leave your
said
body.
before, is
Oh.
it are these is when we speak of different realms, or you know, are we talking about a different state of consciousness, or are we talking about an actual place? You know what I'm
Interesting.
saying?
Yeah.
Because many people would say, well, some would believe that it's not a place; it's a state of consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Well, that's, I think, when we say state of consciousness, I think going back to the ancient world and certain traditions where they connected the science with spirituality, you had to use, like, you have to balance the both. It where like one was, it wasn't, see, like now you see these debate shows and all that where they have like science versus religion, science versus spirituality. That's not,
Yes,
it's not supposed to be like that.
it's a false dichotomy, isn't it? Because the
Yeah.
study of science made man more religious or
Yeah.
more spiritually understood
Yeah.
where he'd come from and what was going on and how he needs to operate with this physical world to live in unity with
Yeah.
you know with it, you
How
know,
did
for
they like people
through his
navigate?
spiritual senses.
Like people navigating through the stars from before all this technology. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you know, he didn't separate
Yeah,
and make it into two wills.
yeah, exactly, man.
You know, because we ourselves are two wills joined and made one. We don't call you just a soul or a body. We call you a human being, which is a combination of the invisible element and the physical.
Yeah, man.
You know
Yeah,
what I
man.
mean? That makes us all.
Yeah, man. Nice, man. Edison.
Yeah, my friend.
You know, obviously, like these dimensions and all that. Like, you know, what I was explaining about what we see, and I
Yeah.
don't mean in the state of man, like a state of consciousness. Just this spacesuit that we've got on, this physical, you know, 3 dimensions, and then, you know, the different levels of dimensions, though. So, like, for
Yeah.
example, it's not just, oh, there's the unseen and that's it. There's different levels to the unseen.
Well, it's really funny because we always understood, or I always understood, the dimensions, your depth, your height, what you're looking at was based on the depth inside you.
Yeah.
So the different realms were different layers within you. What your mind, as your mind can see out and create a world, when you're asleep, you're traveling in other worlds.
Yeah.
When your
Yeah.
eyes are
Yeah.
closing, body's asleep. So
State of
effectively,
consciousness.
your brain is manifesting or creating images from whatever realm you're in. There's sometimes you're asleep and you know you're somewhere, but you can't see anything. And even when you have a wonderful dream, when you try to bring it back and remember it in this world, it disappears pretty quickly because you
Yeah.
was in another dimension, manifesting a different reality, which didn't fit in with the manifestation of you manifesting this reality. So
Mm.
the unseen is only what your mind can break down to see. A blind person can't work with all the different, hasn't got the capacity to convert the photons and information outside into an image or the same image you can see. They can see with their hands and they can feel and construct something because science, and this is what you're saying, the problem we have is we've got so far into spirituality, and a lot of spirituality is hope. Yeah, that what you're saying is right. It's your best guess of what could be taking place. And science is, again, they've worked hard, but they're working on the best guess as well. Your brain is only just predicting reality, and you've never seen anything. What you've done is predicted what you can from the information that you have, because two people can look at the same person and describe a totally different person because the mind that they're using to process it is totally different.
Yeah, same
So
with
they
two
got
people. Two people could read the same book and interpret it differently.
because they got two different minds that are processing the information and creating two different images based on they know. Things that we all know means that when we're reading a book, we could read it 5 years later and it's a totally different book.
Yeah, yeah. So
You're
you're
sitting
saying
there
to
going, is this, I didn't
yeah.
see all of this in there. Where's all that come from? And I swore I read this book because you're not reading the book, you're deciphering and guessing from what you know at that time. And when you know more, you're seeing a total different image to what you saw before.
Yeah.
So the spirit realm, ancestors, all those different things are different realms within you.
Yeah.
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 There's the ancestors are there at the edge of how do you say, the way in which you can create conversations. Your ancestors are going to be part of all the different voices you hear in your head. It's only because in my own thing, I go through a process of someone comes to me and I say, you want to speak to your ancestors, and we'll show you a process from what my ancestors taught me, so how you can communicate with them. So I don't have any doubt where someone may be, I'm not sure, is it this, is it that? And a lot of what we're all going through is how much of ourselves do we doubt? How much of what we really can do we doubt? And how much of it is putting it through all the Western belief systems that are telling us that that's not possible? So we're in conflict, and that conflict, sometimes the world outside tells us the world inside is stupid, and we shut it down. We need to go and follow the material and do all of that kind of stuff. So all of us hear our ancestors all the time. That's the conversation where you say, oh yeah, they told me, but I didn't listen. And we all have that. I knew it, but I didn't follow it. We've all gone through that. Yeah, but we didn't recognize, and we knew already what was going to happen in the future. So we didn't say we're prophesizing, but something told us that was going to take place. And we chose to, like, oh, well, as much as I want to believe that, I'm going to go with the thing that I fear the most. And then you go with that only to find out, hold on, I didn't need to do this. They told me this wasn't the case. So we all have it there. We just don't trust that voice inside, the real one.
If
And
you
we
look at
want
the most popular, well, when we say popular language, I mean, like, yeah, more people can speak within a country. Like Mandarin's a big language, or Arabic's a big language. But if you look at the English language, so look at the English mentality that comes with the language. There you go to a foreign country, and because these people can't speak English well, they start looking at them like they're stupid.
is uneducated.
And then if you look at the history of the English language, yeah, it's an Indo-European language, but it's a total bastardized language.
From German
Yeah,
and what have you. But then the original English are Germans.
yeah,
So it
exactly.
follows with the language, isn't it? The original English were German, the lingual angles were German, the Saxons were
Yeah,
Germans. Hence, they got so much of their language because they traveled round and then traveled round from the side of Germany into this country in the 5th century.
yeah,
So that's why. So a lot
exactly.
of the history is there. But The unseen is only what your mind can't manifest.
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Yeah.
it. Your mind can't manifest, hasn't got the program to create an image from the information outside of you. Because a child could see a ghost running around the house, and you'll turn around and say to the child, "Why? You're silly. You can't see it, but the child can see it."
Yeah,
Because they haven't
interesting.
been told that they can't, and they can take that light form and reconstruct it as an image and actually communicate with that person, yeah, and speak to them. And you're looking at them like, what's wrong? But this is the same thing that when you get to a certain age, your ears don't work as well. And there was this experiment, well, there was this story of how these children were sending texts to each other in a classroom, and the teacher couldn't see what was going on and saying, "How comes you lot are hearing this?" He's seeing all of them doing it, but he couldn't hear the frequency of what the actual ringtone was something that over the age of 18 you can't hear. Yeah. So as far as you're concerned, that thing doesn't exist. But if you're younger and your ears are at a certain level, you can hear it. So how much is going around that we can't hear, we can't see? Dogs can hear sounds we can't hear. Yeah, they can probably see things we can't see. So it's not that it doesn't exist. It's at the limit of what you can create as an experience for yourself.
Nice, nice. Chase, I'll bring you in, and then I'm bringing DAREVVN in after that. And then what I'll do, I'll just have a closeout short minute after that. So, Chase, you want to continue?
On the train of thought of the realms thing.
Yeah, or you can follow up with something else if you want.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, the whole realms thing. I mean, I of course I adhere to the concept of multiverses. The fact that you know realms are created from the different ways we can approach something, and everything. But I am often fascinated about the fact that we all grow up on the concept of heaven and hell, and which are, of course, spiritual concepts that were drilled into us again through indoctrination. But if if they exist, they will exist as realms, the pearly gates or the fiery, pits of Tartarus, so they would be realms, as you're talking about. You know, as far as going to just another world, I mean, dream theory is a fascinating one for me because I'm one of those people that have vivid dreams. Like I can dream because the dreamscape has no sense of time or space. So your body can travel, out of itself, like spiritually, whatever. And but there's no concept of time. So you can have full on experiences. And what I tend to do is because I am one of those people who constantly wake up, maybe because of sleep apnea, I tend to write it down. Like, so if I've experienced something story wise, I write it down because I know that if I went back to sleep or even if I let more time go by,
You could
I
forget
won't
it.
remember that dream.
That's a good idea. I might start keeping a pen and paper each dream because sometimes I wake up 4 to 5 times
Well,
in
I
the middle
write
of
it
the
on
night.
my phone. I write it on my phone, which is always by me, like
Yeah.
notes. Because
Wow.
it's just the fact that like one, you want proof that you actually did dream something, but it's just like fascinating what we could create in our mind or where we travel. It's all how we look at it, isn't it?
Good.
These states of consciousness that Errol was saying, it's like it's all about how you interpret it, you know.
And you could be
But
it could be messages though you're getting. You could be I
no,
can
no, definitely
yeah.
could be messages. It definitely could be messages. You know, and because I mean, what I wanted to say about that spirit thing, that same thing, when my son was like about 2, or 3 or whatever, still a baby, whatever, not walking, he would constantly be like laughing or pointing at the air and everything, you know, as if communicating. And when I went to this Canada retreat that I had this spirit lodge, I also had a psychic reading, and the psychic who didn't know me or my son or whatever told me about it. She told me, "You have a son, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And do you ever experience him, you know, laughing at himself or, you know, like, you know, playing at the air or whatever? I go, maybe. I don't know. Where you going with this, lady? And she told me that he's actually been visited by his 2 great grandmothers, which were my grandmothers, who I've actually mentioned earlier. You know, the Blackfoot and the Lakota Sioux. Now we're on Lakota Sioux land, right? How did this woman know about my kid or that I have these relationships and everything else like that? But it wasn't something about me. It was like something that my son was experiencing, you know, that he was being protected. She's like, do not worry about him because he's being washed over by them, you know. And it was such a powerful and beautiful message to hear and to feel. And yeah, so I wanted to share that because we were talking about it earlier when we were talking about, you know, the indigenous and about these realms. So
All
anyway,
right. Nice,
I'll
anyway.
end it on that.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, the Reverend, I'm going to bring you in now because obviously, the Reverend,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to continue, and then after this, we're going to close out where people just give a closing out discussion after you finished. So if you want to continue this discussion, have you been listening to? Yeah.
I just want to say that, you know, spirit is everything.
Yeah.
You know, when you want, like, water, you know what I'm saying, it's deeply connected to spirit. You know, it's spirit is the sphere. You know, like with the atmosphere, hemisphere, everything is spirit. You understand what I'm saying? So spirit, it cannot come into form without, you know, something that's gonna bring it to light. You know what I'm saying? That's why the moon is represented as spirit and the sun is represented as soul. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, that's why we come into our existence from them 2 connections. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't be able to form into any type of being without soul. So without soul, there's spirit. And spirit is connected to everything, even the trees, everything. So we have to understand that spirit is our inner connection that's connected to everything, the consciousness of everything. But you have to be connected to it. You know what I mean? Because you can disconnect.
Yeah, definitely, man. Nice. We're gonna have we're just gonna go just like 1 minute each in that. We're gonna close out now. I'm coming to you, Errol. Yeah. Closing out discussion of what you've made of today and whatever future discussions you think we should have.
Well, I mean, the whole thing was, even though we always seem to go off topic a lot, but it's supposed to be about prophecy
Yeah.
and obviously a prophet and a seer. But I just like to finally say, you have a prophet and you have a seer. Sometimes you have a prophet who is a seer, so he's both. So a prophet hears the divine order and speaks it. A seer sees a vision sometimes, like what Chase was saying. Sometimes a seer is one who gets visions or dreams that things can come to him in that capacity. But sometimes he's not always able to interpret the dreams or the vision because it can be so confusing. Because as you know, our dreams can be, some dreams can be really bizarre. Some dreams can make sense, some dreams can not make sense, you know.
Definitely.
But yeah, so in the scheme of what we've been talking about, a prophet is one who can see the future if people generally don't change what they're doing. That's a form of prophecy that the world is kind of wrapped up in now. And like Edison says, we generally jump at such big prophecies, the end of the world, a new age, and all of this type of stuff, you know, things that are sometimes beyond our control. And they've become what I call now in modern times the conspiracy theories have been taken over from the word prophet.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is just running so wild to distract us from so much of what we should be really concentrating on. It's like you say, the inner self, the spirit, the soul, you know, and how that's united to the body and how we need to move as a human being on this planet in order to, you know, live in harmony,
Yeah,
peace.
man. Yeah,
You
man.
know?
Nice. Edison, you want to close out on
Yeah,
this one?
just a quick one, I guess. The
Yeah.
focus of the real you and the version that we have to play, the actor that we have to play in this world, and how effectively much of, I know from the from the traditions over in Africa, so to speak, the farm where I come from, it was always about joining the two, closing the gap, so that the real you is in line with the creations in this world. So you can actually be the driving force, the real energy, the real power source, the real spirit that is you, that is using the body to have this experience, that the relationship is much tighter and the gap between two of their thinking is not this big void of all these other beliefs. Your spirit is connected straight to the external source or the external thing outside. So if anything, your prophecy is going to come from the real you, and learning to control the story of the external you, because the external you doesn't control the story, doesn't name anything. All the names for everything has been already created. The real you, how now has to work with all these names to try and get any sense out of anything. So for me, yeah, the prophecy is just really trying to find the real you, because the world is only taking place in your mind.
Yeah, no,
If
nice.
all of
Anyway,
us are seeing different things, then we're all living in a separate world within ourselves. So you're trying to fix you, but you just called it the world. Yeah.
All right, brother. Nice. Chase, you want to close out statement?
Yeah, man. Just want to say thanks for the invite.
Peace.
And James, I know you got these brothers WhatsApps, so can you send those WhatsApps to me so I
Yeah.
can send you guys this whole forgotten history stuff that I've been talking about. And as you guys know, I'm working on a vertical series, so I love your ideas and thoughts about it.
Yeah.
So I'll send you some of this crazy information. And I think if we are going to have a next topic that I can ask us to talk about, I mean, I would say is let's talk about that. What we are aware of as far as the Great Reset and and all that kind of stuff. Because I liked it how Edison knows what I know. Where we was talking about how people who weren't white were actually black. And I love that, and I just think the world needs to be aware too. So great
Nice.
stuff, guys.
Peace, the Reverend. Do you want to close out, brother?
Peace, man. I just want to say thanks for having me. And anybody that wants to connect to me, I'm on TikTok, man. 1111 DAREVVN. How I spell it here. I go live, and I give a lot of my numerical input. Yeah, join me anytime, and hope to see you brothers again. Good talking.
Peace.
Peace,
Last
bro.
one question just before you go. I'll be speaking about a lot of prophecies and all that one. And one thing that I needed to mention is, do you see a return of spirituality, especially the balance. Obviously, you know, the balances of things. You see it returning.
That's what the whole war is against right now.
Yeah,
it's a spiritual war going on right
spiritual
now.
warfare. But eventually,
that's what the whole fight's about.
You see a return of the true knowledge, the true self, the true self.
It's gonna be a lot of chaos, but like I said, you see what happened back in the ancient times. The ancient faces got ripped off of things and things. Like when it comes to that period of time, that's a very chaotic event. So, like I said, it's gonna be a fight, but it's a fight to win.
Yeah, man. Peace anyway. It's James the Bone Discovering, dedicated to original peoples. Thank you all for your contributions, Errol, Edison, Chase, the Reverend, and Braz Congo. We'll do this again. We've got more to come. I'll set up a WhatsApp group chat. I'll do that right now, actually. And I'll get this uploaded and it'll be out tomorrow or the next day. But peace, brothers. Thank you very much,
Bless
man.
up, man.
Peace.
All right, man. Peace out, bro.
Bye. See you later, everyone. Take care.
Peace, brother.
Peace, Edison.